Welcome to another session with Rumination with Andrew. Thank you. Not Rumination with Andrew, but welcome back to the Andrew Tucker Report. Sometimes I'm confused with all these channels that I have. So welcome back. And today we are going to be looking at the hurricane, um, what's her name now? Melissa, that is heading towards Jamaica. That's Hurricane Melissa that is heading towards Jamaica. Now, we understand that we were and still are in the hurricane season, and that there's some things that we should do before these storms approach. But we love the sort of excitement and the emotionalism and the sentimentalism because we go through this every year. Well, Jamaica has been blessed, we must say, because we have not had any major storm since Hurricane Gilbert in 1988. And some people were having online yesterday that every 37 years we have one. We had Charlie in 1951, and then we had Hurricane Gilbert in 1988. And then this one is coming in 2025. So is that 37 years? Perhaps. I didn't check the math. I didn't calculate it. But whatever it is, we like the numerology, right? And I don't believe in numerology. What is very evident is that we're not ready. We can't be ready. We can't be fully prepared for any natural disasters because we know that they are beyond human ken. That a lot of times it is what it is. We can't expect the wind gust and all of the overflowing of rivers, and we know that we are the land of wood and water. But what is catastrophic in many times is that we don't prepare our bridges and the fact that we are a garbage-ridden nation in which we have not yet learned how to keep our environment clean. The environment in Jamaica is polluted because our citizens are not responsible. And we see people dying every year because when we have torrential rains, heavy downpours, right? We see that people, because of the debris and the garbage left on the roads and as well as on these and beneath these bridges. We have to now come up with a secured way, a consistent way of ensuring that our bridges and underneath our bridges are always properly maintained and are clean. Okay. Our roads also are largely impassable. And we've reported many times that Jamaicans have not maintained our road networks. In fact, when we were winding up our bodies and hoping that Andrew Holness or Mark Golding would have emerged, which would have emerged the winner of the general election, we should have told them that we want all of that money, that campaign money, the funds, to fix our roads, to fix up the roads. The roads need to be fixed. The roads need maintenance. I was looking at the roads, for example, in Halfway Tree, when these news reporters went to Kingston to report on the storm. Not impressive. Not impressive. Potholed, the roads were cracked in Kingston, in Halfway Tree in St. Andrew. And this should be the center almost of St. Andrew. And the roads are in a deplorable condition. And the roads were in that deplorable condition when Dr. Andrew Holness was there distributing flyers for Jamaicans to vote for him. Now we are faced with what is going to be a Category 4, they're suggesting, Category 4 hurricane, the likes of which, to me, are frightening because we have never experienced that sort of hit. Now, other hurricanes have been Category 4 and 3 that have passed over Jamaica, but they have not passed through directly. We haven't gotten direct hit. But this one, since Gilbert, seems that it is heading for Jamaica, and that apart from the mercies of God, it is going to hit us directly, and we are going to suffer grave consequences because of the fact that our infrastructure is fragile. Now, this is testing the whole matter of the fact that we are not as prosperous as we say we are. Our roads should be one of the signs whether or not a country, or Jamaica specifically, is prosperous. And when we drive on the roads for the most part, we are not seeing prosperity. What we're seeing is physical decadence in Jamaica. And we have been trying to say on this channel and the other channels that I have that we need to fix the roads. We need to ensure that our roads are maintained. Under Bruce Golding, we had the gas tax revenues, right? So what are those revenues being used for? And why aren't our roads maintained ever so often? Why do we have to beg the politicians for roads to be fixed and to be maintained? Are they happy? Are they proud when visitors visit the island and see the state condition of our roads, that the entire Jamaica looks like a ghetto? The entire Kingston and St. Andrew region look like a ghetto, apart from a few areas here and there. It depends on what MP and how educated these people are and if they are going to demand that their roads be fixed. But for the most part, from Barbican to all of the surrounding areas, our roads are not properly paved and look decent and properly marked. Not only paved, but they should be properly marked. All right? And this could be one of the reasons we're having a lot of road accidents. Now, when we also look at the condition of Jamaica from aerial views, the international people who were there yesterday reporting on the news, and the cars, and they're not in, everybody it's almost, the roads are, you really wonder if you're in a deep village in an uncivilized country. Okay? We have to do better. We have to do better. We have to line our roads, and we have to also enforce road trafficking laws that cars can drive, in a straight line, as it were, and people are not overtaking each other. Our roads are already narrow, and they must respect the road laws, the traffic laws, which in Jamaica people don't respect because they are not properly enforced. They are not properly enforced. When you look back at Kingston, for example, in the 1950s, and we have some clippings, some footage of what Jamaica used to be like before we became independent, we could see that the roads were paved and the cars being driven, even the roads were narrow, because British roads are narrow. Okay? Even though the roads were narrow, we could see that the cars were in a straight line, and it looked more civil. Jamaica looked more civilized in the 1950s than we do look in 2025. Jamaica looked more civilized in 2025. And many of our citizens, the ones who are, responding based on the footage that they saw on social media, many are clamoring. We need to go back to those days. We need to revisit those days. Yet we say that we are on the road of prosperity and we are a prosperous nation. And you're saying to us, no, that is not. Prosperity is not like that. Prosperity means much more than just having some high-rise buildings. And talk about the high-rise buildings. We're learning now that because we are building these buildings without proper permits and without proper zoning laws and the necessary infrastructure that should be put in place, people's homes are also under threat. Recently, when we had heavy rain, that it was not a hurricane, a lady was on social media. Well, she was also on the news, on TVJ News, in which she reported that her house, all of the mountains, the waters from the mountains, from the gullies or wherever the water came from, just came and washed her house and the things thereof away. Her furniture, her bed, everything was destroyed. Okay? And this was in New Kingston. This was in New Kingston. And talk about New Kingston, we can talk about it's a part of the old Kingston because it's not even new anymore. It doesn't look new. And we have not maintained New Kingston also. The quality of the roads also need to be maintained. Proper drainage. Okay? But we haven't maintained it. And we still call it New Kingston. What is new about it? You tell me, what is new about New Kingston? So we're adding to the disaster, and they tell us about climate change. So Andrew Holness is now saying that Jamaica is under disaster emergency. Now, what does that mean? The entire country is under disaster. Now, we have to be careful when they talk about climate change, because a lot of what they're doing, if the IMF and Dr. Andrew Holness and all of these so-called scientists, these brainwashed scientists about this climate change and all of that stuff, if they were really serious about climate change, wouldn't the IMF have ensured that monies be injected and be set apart to fix the infrastructure of these countries like Jamaica? If they were really serious about climate change, wouldn't they have put in the climate enthusiasts, the climate fanatics? Wouldn't they have put in, or pressured the government to have ensured that proper zoning laws and the requisite infrastructure be put in place, water, proper drainage facilities, bridges, all of these things, if we were really serious about climate change? But the climate change agenda is not what you think it is about. It is just mere hypocrisy to gain money and to put it in the pockets of the already opulent of our society. Okay? That is what it's about. It's not to really deal with climate. First of all, they can't control climate because that is beyond human capacity. But we can take the necessary steps, the necessary precautionary methods to be able to thwart the destruction that is going to wreak or that can be wreaked upon us due to any natural disaster. Okay? But we're not doing that. All we're saying, we have all of this national reserves of billions of dollars and our debt is going down. Yet when you look at Jamaica and the deterioration of the country, you really wonder, what are we talking about? And I'm hearing the IMF talking now that, we are going to achieve our debt reduction sooner than we think. And they are projecting that it's going to go down by 58% of GDP. So didn't they say it should just go down by 60%? Why can't we channel some of that money that went down because if it's going to go to 58% of GDP, it's 2% higher or lower, I should say, than what it was projected to have gone to. Okay? So why don't we use that now, that 2%, to put into our infrastructure, to invest in our infrastructure? Why don't we do that? Okay? Why don't we do that? But, what is happening is that our citizens are more political fanatics than are the patriotic citizens of Jamaica. And now we're faced with a Category 4, what is predicted to be a Category 4 hurricane. And our citizens are poor. They don't have the facilities. They don't have basic things, right? Many of our citizens do not have proper homes. And we don't know how quickly we are going to be able to get back to some level of, some semblance of order is going to be restored. We just don't know. But the papers, the Gleaner this morning is reporting that the citizens, that a Category 5 hurricane is, or Category 3, it's not a Category 5, I beg your pardon, Category 3 hurricane is on its way. Hurricane Melissa has strengthened into a Category 3 system, becoming a major hurricane, according to the U.S. National Hurricane Center. That's the NHC. The NHC says Melissa is expected to continue rapidly intensifying with damaging winds and heavy rainfall already affecting parts of Jamaica. Conditions are forecast to worsen through Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. That's a long time to have heavy showers in Jamaica. Residents across the island are being urged to seek shelter immediately and remain indoors for the next several days as the storm's impacts intensify. Jamaica remains under a hurricane warning. A hurricane warning means that within the next 36 hours or less, Jamaicans should expect dangerously high water or a combination of dangerously high water and exceptionally high waves, even though winds expected may be less than hurricane force, as well as an average winds of 64 knots, that is 119 kilometers per hour or higher. In its 10 p.m. update on Saturday, the NHC said Melissa, which is south of Jamaica, is moving toward the west near 3 miles per hour, 6 kilometers per hour. A slow westward motion is expected tonight through the end of the weekend. A turn to the north and northeast is forecast on Monday and Tuesday. That is going to be sitting over Jamaica for a long time, too long, and it's going to wreak a lot of damage on the island. So while our debt is low, and we have lots of national reserves, that will prove to us if these IMF narratives are really true or they're just about bilking and sucking the lives of our people dry. This is what is going to be the proof of the pudding. Okay? And I hope Jamaicans are having their eyes opened. And we need to use that national reserves. It's not just there to decorate and to make these wealthy people wealthy. On the forecast track, the center of Melissa is expected to move near or over Jamaica during the weekend and early next week, and it could be near or over eastern Cuba by the middle of next week. The NHC said maximum sustained winds have increased to near 115 miles per hour, that's 185 kilometers per hour, that's a lot of wind, with higher gusts. Continued rapid intensification is forecast during the next day or so, followed by fluctuations in intensity. Okay? So Melissa is expected to be a major hurricane when making landfall in Jamaica early next week. It's not something that Jamaicans are used to. In spite of what we experienced during Hurricane Gilbert, this seems to be a much more dangerous and powerful cyclone. Okay? I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready. I don't think the government has really done enough. And you could see them going around the island yesterday, trying to clean up gullies and all of that. Right? But the roads are impassable. The cratered roads, the cratered-ridden roads are already impassable. So what's going to happen now after this storm has left Jamaica? Who's going to be able to go to school? And, one of the things about Jamaica also, it is the inability to think and to plan ahead. So I hear the Minister of Education and some of the stakeholders in that ministry suggesting that students are not going to have school, obviously, because it's a storm, it's a cyclone, and they won't be able to go to school. However, they're going to have online classes. That's wishful thinking. That is wishful thinking. All right? Many homes don't have the facility for online classes, and that is what we have to understand, that we're living in an inequitable society, and people might have little data on their phones, but it's not to have online classes. All right? And the facilities, the infrastructure at their homes, some of them are in one room. They can't expose themselves to online classes living in that one room. We're not a rich society as we think we are, and a prosperous. We are not. We are a backward Caribbean society, probably one of the most backward in the region. Perhaps one of the most backward in the region. Yet still we're suggesting that our kids must expose themselves and their little shacks, some of them living in, to having online classes. Who's going to do that? And where is electricity going to come from? With the high winds that will be waging and blowing, do you think that people are going to have electricity? So what online classes are you talking about? Okay? We have not developed the electrical or the electricity network to be able to undergo these type of wind gusts. And even when it rains heavily, when we have torrential rains, the electricity goes. So I think that electricity is going to be out for weeks, if not months. right? It was somebody who reminded me, and that person was correct, that when we had Hurricane Gilbert in 1988, that when we, electricity, I think, went the same day, if I'm not remember. It might have gone the night, if I recall, the Monday night. The storm came in the Monday night, and we had electricity. But as it was passing over the island, I think maybe sometimes in the early morning, in the wee hours of the morning, that electricity went. Okay, and it never returned until December, early December. I think it was late December or early December to early January, or late December to early January, whatever. But it took us months, okay, to have gotten back on the correct footing, to have our electricity restored. Okay. It took us months, and we are not better as we think we are. We have not moved on. We have not really improved on the social and the physical infrastructure of Jamaica. We haven't done that. We like to brag and we like to think that we have, but we haven't. And a few high-rise buildings and some little cars on the road, because you went and they imported some expensive cars, and you went and you buy them, you went to bank and you got bank load and think that you're important and you're living in a shack. Okay? Now, what sort of mentality is that? And that is prosperity. That, to Dr. Andrew Michael Fonis, is prosperity. While he's living in his mansion, and I'm sure that his house is properly battened down, he doesn't care about you. Okay? And that is why you should have insisted, when Andrew Holness and Mark Golding were on the campaign trail, that the monies that they are wasting on your winding up and drinking and talking about I'm blessed, every day of my life I'm blessed, okay? That God doesn't play with us, He doesn't play. He doesn't play. And this is not political, because God doesn't care about politics, human politics, okay? So all of this thing about, oh, the hurricane is coming because Andrew Holness stole the election, right? It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It is the immorality that is in Jamaica and the world by extension why God allows these things sometimes to happen. The immorality that is so ubiquitous on the island. And the citizens are a part of that immorality, if truth be told. You don't want to hear anything about God. All you want, now you're going to call on God because the storm is coming and Lord help me, and you're going to cry. But when after the storm has passed, you don't have him in your imagination. In fact, you prefer Obia, right? So let me see if Obia is now going to rescue you from the vicissitudes and the anger of the storm. Only time will tell, right? So we're seeing here in the Gleaner too that we've never experienced this before. Jamaica braces for catastrophic Hurricane Melissa. And Yvonne Thompson, that's the chief meteorologist at the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, addressing a special press conference on Hurricane Melissa at Jamaica House on Saturday. So he's saying that we have never seen a system of this magnitude. Jamaicans are being urged to brace for the worst as Hurricane Melissa intensifies south of the island and is forecast to make landfall as a Category 4. He's now saying a Category 4 system early this week. It's a confusing report. One is saying Category 3, he's now saying Category 4, and some people are suggesting Category 5. So what is it? They don't know. At a media briefing on Saturday morning, Yvonne Thompson, chief meteorologist at the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, said the system is strengthening rapidly and moving slowly toward the island's southern coast. It has been a long few days and lots of activity, and of course, now we are faced by the information of a tropical storm that's rapidly developing and moving closer and closer to Jamaica, Thompson said. He explained that as of 11 a.m. update, the storm was positioned at 16.5 degrees north and 75.1 degrees west, moving only about 2 miles per hour over the past 24 hours. The system was shortly after upgraded to Category 1 hurricane. At this time, he's saying, It is expected to be a major hurricane because what we are expecting after today is that there will be rapid intensification of the system, he said. That's a phrase that some of these hurricanes go through, especially in these days of climate change. Right, these days of climate change. Now, why didn't he lobby? Mr. Thompson, why didn't you lobby the government to have improved on the infrastructure of Jamaica in these days of climate change? Right? So what about 1988, Gilbert? Didn't we have climate change then too? Wasn't Gilbert linked to climate change? Okay. But now we're hearing this preachifying tone that we have to acknowledge that there's climate change and we have to, to prepare for climate change and its consequences. It will likely decrease in intensity as it moves toward the north coast, where a Category 4 hurricane is more than we have experienced before moving across the island. Gilbert was a Category 3 hurricane when it moved over Jamaica. It became Category 4 when it was heading to the Cayman Islands. Ivan was a Category 4 hurricane, yes, but the center did not pass over the island. Beryl was a Category 4 hurricane, but it also did not impact us with a landfall. It was a direct hit because we got the heavy rainfall and the associated weather, but it did not move over the island in terms of the center of the system. We have not had this experience before, so it's important for us to consider this as an extraordinary situation. This is what the chief director of the Meteorological Center of Jamaica has intimated. He also cautioned that storm surge along the southern coastline could reach up to 8 feet or more, citing memories of Hurricane Ivan's destruction of Caribbean Terrace in 2004. So this is something that is going to be catastrophic for us. And our leaders are going to be safe for the most part. It's you, the citizens, who are going to be exposed to the ire of Hurricane Melissa. Okay? And I've not heard to date where the government is providing food for people who might not have any food. He's suggesting that they should remain inside, and I agree with him to an extent, and eat what? What if they're hungry? What if they're hungry and they want to take the risk? And I'm not suggesting that they should. But Mr. Prime Minister, you have to do better. You have a lot of money in the reserves according to what you're suggesting. The debt to GDP is fast going down, or it's going to go down quicker than you had projected, and lower than 2% lower than you had also projected. So why can't you relax some of those funds to feed our people and to ensure that they have food at least for a week, that they can remain inside and not have to contend with the anger of this approaching hurricane? Okay, this is something that it's alarming, and we have to come to grips with the lack of sympathy on the part of our politicians, that they're just farcical in many ways. Okay, so as a Category 4 hurricane is a direct hit, a direct Category 4 hurricane is heading towards Jamaica. I wish all Jamaicans well. Okay, now let us look at what Mr. Weatherman is saying, and lots of people right now, he's getting a lot of views on his videos. He has almost acquired, and I think he published this sometimes 23 hours, and he almost has 1 million views. Almost 1 million views on Mr. Weather's update. So we're going to see what he's saying here about the storm, the approaching storm, and what impact it is going to have on the land called Jamaica. Oh, let me see if I can share my screen. I did not come out of this thing here, so I have to get out. Ooh, let me see if I can go back. Yeah, and it's gone back into a chatting thing advertisement. Let me skip. And let me share my screen with you and get this important message from Mr. Weatherman to you. All right, so
getting those preparations done. We are helping each other out as much as we can. East Cuba, we're now in action.
Let's see if I can. Wow, I have to.
It is Saturday, October 25th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for being part of this weather community. Jamaica, we're going to take a direct hit from a major hurricane. It's a life-threatening situation. In this video, I've got you covered. We're going to go day by day when the worst weather will hit, what to expect for the winds and the rain. It is going to be a slow mover, so I want to give you everything before we may lose touch with losing power, so you know how to prepare both with what we need to do on the ground and mentally as well, because this is going to be a long haul. I want to show you the life-threatening storm surge out of this, how strong it could get, and some of the changes we could get. Plus, we're in action mode in some new locations, so I want to show you that. But a direct hit likely from this. It is getting stronger. It's stronger than what even the models are showing. I'll show you that. We may have some communities that get kind of stuck in place out of this because of the major hurricane impacts and the life-threatening, potentially catastrophic flooding. We may have some roads cut off. We're going to have some of that, rock slides, that sort of thing with the flooding. So with that, we need to have days and days of food on hand. We all have different means, so I appreciate you, and I've been seeing it, helping each other out. We're in a community. We're kind of looking around on the hillsides, who may be more vulnerable than others, who may be near water. Well, we're helping each other out best we can with this. But again, this is moving our way. So we're going to highlight Haiti, Jamaica, and then looking down the road as well with this. The center's still here, so we do have some moments to prepare. Now, what is interesting is in 1951 was Hurricane Charley in Jamaica. 37 years later, 1988, was Hurricane Gilbert. Here we are 37 years later. So 37, not a great number, apparently. 37 years later with what is about to be Hurricane Melissa. By the time you're watching this, most likely this will be upgraded to Hurricane Melissa and then eventually a major hurricane. Now, I bring that up. It's not just an interesting stat. I bring that up because there is a lot of scary talk, including in this video, no doubt. This thing is going to really grow in intensity. With that said, Jamaica's not going anywhere. Again, once we get to Wednesday, we're going to be on the flip side of this. We've been through Charley, Gilbert, other storms, other hurricanes. Jamaica's going to get on the other side of this. There's no doubt, right? So by the time we get toward the end of next week, we'll be in cleanup mode, no doubt. But again, Jamaica's not going anywhere. There's a lot of talk out there that is making it look like Jamaica's getting wiped off the map. That's not happening, right? This is a bad situation, but that is not happening. Here it is, though, moving in. Again, we have a little bit of a window to get things done best we can and really help each other out. That is the biggest thing. Again, we're before the storm. Once this storm is moving in, there's not much we could do. So again, we're starting to get to our safe places. We'll be doing that throughout the day. Where we need to ride out the storm, again, the schools, the churches that have better some block structures, are acting as shelters. And thank you for opening up your homes. If you know neighbors that may not have a good roof or may not really have much of a roof at all, kind of bringing them in, especially if they're near places where we can have rock slides or mudslides. Now today, this is going to be developing very quickly into a stronger hurricane. And look how much it doesn't move. Here we are in Jamaica. And this will be moving our way by tomorrow. Tomorrow, some of the bigger impacts start to move in for some of us. Then in particular, Monday and a Tuesday, it looks like by the time we get into Monday night, that could be some of the worst weather as this works across. I'll show you that. And then eventually lifting up toward eastern Cuba, looks like still as a hurricane, and then working its way toward the southeastern Bahamas near the Turks and Caicos. Of course, all of this puts days and days of heavier rain back toward Haiti and even the Dominican Republic, especially the southern coast of Haiti, where right now, talking to our team on the ground, we have life-threatening flooding going on, and we're going to be seeing more of that. So again, as I mentioned, as expected, I've been giving it a heads up. Those watches have been switched over to warnings. This is going to move in as a major hurricane and then work across. I'm not seeing this coming toward Central America. I always keep an eye on everyone. I'm not seeing this coming toward the Cayman Islands. We may get some outer rain bands possible over toward Little and the Brack, but this is going to make the turn, and there are reasons why, and I'll show you that as we go forward. But again, a very dangerous situation. I'll put out additional updates. If you subscribe, you'll get those updates up first, those notifications up first. And I just really appreciate you sharing this information right now, because we need to do that now. We need to finish those preparations because this is coming in. Now, let's go day by day. Today and even parts of tomorrow, for some of us, we may be like, what storm? It's not here. It is sunny outside, right? In some spots. Well, it's coming. It's that slow mover. That's part of the problem, is that it's almost not here yet. It's kind of like, just let's get this thing in and get this thing out. It is such a slow mover. Tonight, we're really going to start to have the rain and wind pick up. So to give you a good feel, I'll show you the winds. Now, this will be changing some. These maps I'm about to show you. As we go into additional videos, I'll be tweaking it. I'll be changing it best I can based on when it takes that turn into us as we go forward. So tonight, we're going to have some of the winds around 50 miles per hour southeastern sections. Things just starting to pick up. Then tomorrow, it looks like at that point, this is going to be a major hurricane. That's Category 3 or higher. We're talking about the potential down the road of a Category 5. That is a potential, which I'll show you. As we work our way into tomorrow, we start to get, it's not moving in yet, totally in, the heavy and life-threatening rain. That is going to be moving in. That is a huge concern.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it in the description. The description, you'll see the entire video so you can watch it for yourselves, right? That's important that we now begin to take this, as he's suggesting, storm very seriously. It seems to be that unless there is some miraculous, intervention by God, that it's going to hit Jamaica directly as a major Category 4 hurricane. And it seems that the entire island will be engulfed in this very dangerous storm, very dangerous cyclone that is heading for Jamaica. Now, this is going to prove, as I'm suggesting, the tenacity and the veracity of what the government has suggested about our economy and how prosperous our economy is or isn't. And I think that it's the latter. Our economy isn't prosperous, isn't tenacious, and we are going to see very dire consequences, the likes of which we have not seen for decades. So we can only pray for Jamaica and pray that God will intervene in the storm and hold back the winds, that they do not wreak the damage that they can wreak upon our little island called Jamaica, land we love. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you will like and share and subscribe. I will try, if you're willing, let me know if you want me to give you coverage, if you want me to go on live and inform you. If I have like 800 people who are willing to have me on live, then I'll come and I'll keep you informed right throughout this ordeal. See you in another one. Ciao.